The way you think about money is not random. It's not simply the byproduct of how much you earn, or how little you've had in the past. The way you think about money is a habit. And like any habit, it can be rewired. Before we can talk about creating an abundant mindset, we need to start with the invisible chains most people carry with them every single day, the psychology of scarcity. Scarcity is not just a lack of money, it's a way of seeing the world. It's the filter that tells you there's never enough, that opportunities are limited, and that every gain comes at the cost of someone else's loss. People who live in scarcity often feel like they're in a constant race against time, bills, and bad luck. It is a state of mind rooted in fear, fear of losing, fear of missing out, fear of not being enough. And when fear drives your financial behavior, even large amounts of money cannot bring peace. To understand scarcity, think about the messages you heard growing up. For many, phrases like, "money doesn't grow on trees," "we can't afford that," or "rich people are greedy," weren't just words, they became programming. A child absorbs these statements not as opinions, but as facts about reality. By the time you're an adult, you may have never questioned them. And without realizing it, these inherited beliefs steer how you earn, how you spend, and how you view your own potential. Scarcity mindset is also reinforced by society itself. Advertising constantly pushes the message that you don't have enough, not enough beauty, not enough status, not enough wealth, and the solution, of course, is to buy more. Schools rarely teach financial literacy, which means most people grow up without the tools to think critically about money. And culturally, many of us are taught to link our self-worth to our net worth. If we don't have much, we feel like we aren't much. From a neuroscience perspective, scarcity literally rewires your brain. Studies have shown that when people are under financial stress, their cognitive bandwidth decreases significantly. It becomes harder to think long-term, to plan strategically, or to make rational choices. This is why people in financial scarcity often make decisions that keep them trapped: payday loans, high-interest credit cards, or neglecting investments. The brain, consumed with, "how do I survive today?" simply doesn't have the capacity to think about tomorrow. In this way, scarcity becomes a self-fulfilling loop. Behavioral economists have studied this phenomenon extensively. One famous experiment revealed that when farmers in India were measured before and after harvest, their IQ scores fluctuated by the equivalent of 13 points depending on whether they were in a period of scarcity or abundance. Before harvest, when money was tight, their mental resources were consumed by worry. After harvest, when they had more, their cognitive capacity returned. Scarcity taxes the brain in ways we don't even notice. It makes people feel stuck, stupid, and powerless, even when they are capable and intelligent. Another dangerous feature of scarcity is tunnel vision. When you're worried about money, your brain locks onto immediate problems and ignores the bigger picture. You may obsess over a late bill while neglecting long-term debt management. You may cling to a low-paying job for security instead of seeking new opportunities. Scarcity tricks you into believing that survival today is the only goal, when in reality, survival without growth is a slow death. It's important to understand that scarcity doesn't only happen to the poor. There are wealthy people who live in perpetual scarcity as well. Despite having millions, they live in fear of losing it, of slipping down the ladder, of no longer being enough. Scarcity is not about the number in your bank account, it's about the number of fears in your head. Someone with $200 but an abundant mindset can feel richer than someone with $2 million and a scarcity mindset. You may recognize scarcity in the way you talk about money. Do you feel guilty when you spend on yourself, even if you can afford it? Do you avoid looking at your bank account because you fear what you'll see? Do you constantly compare your earnings to others and feel like you're behind? These are not financial problems, they're mindset problems. And until the mindset shifts, no external wealth will solve them. Scarcity also impacts relationships. People who live in fear of money often project that fear onto others. They may resent partners for spending, feel suspicious of friends who succeed, or even sabotage opportunities out of envy. Scarcity breeds competition where there should be collaboration. It convinces you that if someone else wins, you automatically lose. This belief poisons relationships and closes the very doors that could lead to growth. At its core, scarcity is about identity. If you see yourself as someone who always struggles with money, you'll unconsciously behave in ways that reinforce that identity. If you believe wealth is for other people, but not you, you'll find reasons to confirm that belief. The brain loves consistency. It would rather prove your negative self-image correct than risk the discomfort of changing it. This is why people can suddenly receive more money, through a raise, a windfall, or even a lottery win, and still end up broke again. Without a new mindset, new money doesn't last. The good news is that the scarcity mindset is not permanent. Just as it was learned, it can be unlearned. But before we shift into abundance, we need to be brutally honest about how scarcity shows up in daily life. Awareness is the first step to rewiring. Take a moment to reflect. What was your first memory of money? Was it a moment of stress, an argument between adults, or a feeling of not having enough? That memory likely planted a seed that grew into your financial identity. Write it down. Name it. Because until you bring these hidden beliefs to the surface, they will continue to run in the background like unexamined software. Scarcity thrives in silence. It grows stronger when ignored. But once you shine light on it, once you call it by its name, you begin to take back control. This is the first step in the journey from scarcity to abundance, realizing that scarcity is not about money, it's about mindset. And if mindset is the problem, then mindset can also be the solution. Scarcity doesn't just live in your thoughts, it shows up in your habits. And these habits are often so subtle that you don't even notice them until you step back and ask, why do I keep doing this? One of the most common habits of scarcity is hoarding. People in scarcity often cling tightly to what they have, afraid to let go of even small amounts of money. They save obsessively, not as a strategy, but out of fear. This might sound smart on the surface. After all, saving is important, but saving from fear is very different from saving with purpose. When fear drives your saving, you never feel safe. No matter how much is in the bank, it feels like it's not enough. On the opposite end, some people in scarcity overspend. They spend money quickly, almost recklessly, because part of them believes it won't last anyway. This is called the "use it before you lose it" mentality. If you've ever thought, I'd better buy it now before something bad happens, you've experienced this side of scarcity. It's not about enjoying money, it's about escaping the anxiety that comes with holding on to it. Another habit of scarcity is fear of investing. Investing is one of the most powerful ways to grow wealth, but to someone with a scarcity mindset, investing feels terrifying. Why? Because scarcity only trusts what it can see immediately. If money is in the bank, it feels safe. If it's in the stock market or real estate, it feels like it's already gone. Scarcity is blind to long-term growth because it's too busy panicking about short-term survival. Then there's chasing quick fixes. People in scarcity often look for fast money, lottery tickets, get-rich-quick schemes, high-risk bets, because deep down, they don't believe in slow, steady progress. They don't trust themselves to build wealth over time. They want a miracle to erase their fear in an instant. But the truth is, wealth built slowly is wealth that lasts. Scarcity also shows up in self-sabotage. Imagine getting a raise, only to suddenly spend more than usual and end up back where you started. Or setting a budget, but breaking it the moment you feel stressed. Self-sabotage is not about being bad with money, it's about identity. If your identity is rooted in scarcity, then abundance feels uncomfortable. Your subconscious will do whatever it takes to return you to the familiar state of struggle, because struggle feels safe. These habits don't exist because people are lazy or irresponsible. They exist because scarcity is a survival strategy. It's the brain's way of saying, at least I know how to live with less. But survival is not the same as thriving. And until we recognize these habits for what they are, protective patterns from a fearful mindset, we cannot move beyond them. If scarcity is rooted in fear, then abundance is rooted in trust. And this isn't just philosophy, it's backed by science. Abundance begins with a growth mindset. Psychologist Carol Dweck's research shows that people who believe abilities and intelligence can be developed are far more likely to succeed than those who see them as fixed. Applied to money, a growth mindset means believing you can learn to earn more, save better, invest wisely, and change your financial story. Scarcity says, "I'm just not good with money." Abundance says, "I can learn, and I can grow." Neurologically, abundance shifts your brain out of survival mode and into creative mode. When you stop obsessing over what you lack, your brain has the freedom to scan for opportunities. Studies in positive psychology reveal that gratitude, one of the core practices of abundance, literally expands your brain's ability to see solutions. Scarcity narrows focus, abundance widens it. Think of money as energy. In scarcity, money is a threat. It feels like something that slips away, something that punishes you when you don't have enough. But in abundance, money is a tool. It's not good or bad, it's neutral. It's like electricity, dangerous if misused, powerful if directed. When you view money as energy, you stop fearing it and start directing it with intention. Case studies prove this shift is possible. Take the story of Sarah, a woman who grew up hearing, "We can't afford that," so often that she carried shame around money into adulthood. For years, she worked 2 jobs, always anxious about bills. Then, through coaching, she began practicing gratitude for what she already had, reframing her narrative. Instead of saying, "I can't afford that," she started asking, "How can I afford that?" Within 5 years, Sarah had not only doubled her income but also built investments. Her external reality changed only after her internal story did. Theory is nothing without practice. So how do you actually rewire your money mindset? First, awareness journaling. Every time you notice a fearful thought about money, write it down. Example, "I'll never get out of debt," or "I can't afford this." Then reframe it. "I am learning to pay off debt," or "I choose how to spend." Over time, you train your brain to shift from scarcity language to abundance language. Second, affirmations with evidence. Scarcity thrives on lies repeated until believed. You counter it by telling the truth repeatedly. Instead of vague affirmations like, "I'm rich," use grounded ones, "I am learning to grow wealth daily," or "I make choices that expand my future." Link them to evidence, even small wins, so your brain builds trust. Third, visualization and identity shift. Picture yourself as someone who handles money well, who invests wisely, who lives in abundance. Research shows that the brain responds to vivid imagery almost as if it's real. By repeatedly seeing yourself as financially empowered, you create a new identity your actions will begin to match. Fourth, cognitive behavioral techniques. Catch the scarcity thought, challenge it, replace it. Example, "If I spend this money, I'll never get it back." Challenge, "Is that always true?" Replace, "I can spend wisely and still grow wealth." This rewiring process, repeated, literally builds new neural pathways. Fifth, abundance habits. Generosity is one of the fastest ways to break scarcity. When you give, even small amounts, you teach your brain that there is enough. Saving with joy, not fear, investing with curiosity, and celebrating others' success all reinforce abundance. Here's the truth most people miss: abundance isn't just about having more money. It's about what money represents: freedom, possibility, purpose. When you live in scarcity, money defines you. You feel like you are your bank balance. When you live in abundance, money serves you. It becomes a tool to express your values. Abundance asks, what do you want money for? Is it security, experiences, contribution, freedom of time? Without purpose, even millions can feel empty. With purpose, even modest wealth can feel abundant. Abundance also shifts relationships. Instead of competing, you collaborate. Instead of resenting others' success, you celebrate it. Instead of clinging to what you have, you share freely. And paradoxically, this sharing often multiplies your opportunities. Networks grow. Trust builds. Doors open. Most importantly, abundance frees you from identity tied to income. You stop asking, "How much am I worth?" and start asking, "How can I live aligned with who I am?" This is the essence of financial freedom, not endless riches, but the ability to live unchained by fear. Rewiring doesn't happen overnight. It's a process. Here's a 30-day plan to start living abundance. Daily, write down 3 things you're grateful for financially. Journal 1 scarcity thought and reframe it. Weekly, practice a generosity act, give money, time, or help freely. Review your spending and celebrate 1 good choice. Monthly, set 1 growth goal, learning about investing, negotiating pay, or saving with purpose. Track progress. By repeating these actions for 30 days, you shift your default. Scarcity loses its grip, abundance becomes natural. You are not broken because you've struggled with money. You are not cursed, unlucky, or doomed. You are simply carrying a mindset that was given to you, and mindsets can be changed. Scarcity says there's never enough. Abundance says there's always a way. Scarcity shrinks, abundance creates. Scarcity fears, abundance trusts. When you stop letting scarcity drive your choices, money ceases to be your master. It becomes your servant. It becomes the tool it was always meant to be, a tool to build, to grow, to live, and to give. The journey from scarcity to abundance is not about reaching a number. It's about reaching a state of freedom. A freedom where you can breathe without fear. A freedom where you can create without guilt. A freedom where wealth begins not in your bank account, but in your mind. And that freedom? It starts the moment you decide to rewire your story.